Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Rebounding score! Keegan Kolesar bangs it home, and the Brandon, Manitoba native makes it a 4-1.
Welcome back to another Top on Black Aces podcast. A little special edition one today. Normally, I'm excited to introduce my boy Carson, and we'll get to him in a second. But we got a very special Manitoba's own Stanley Cup champion, Keegan Kolesar, sitting down with the boys today. Welcome to the podcast, Keegan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the podcast, boys. I've heard a lot of good things, and I'm glad I finally get my nod for it.
Oh, hey, we were excited to have you. Hey, Carson, I'll ask you too. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good. First off, Keegs, congratulations, dude. Obviously, it's a childhood dream for everybody that plays hockey to raise Lord Stanley's mug. You got to fulfill that dream, and we are very, very excited to pick your brain about your entire experience and all that. But first things first, we got to hear about the celebration. We got to hear about the party. We got to hear about it all. Air it out there. Let's. Describe your feeling as soon as that final buzzer went. I know you were on the ice. You were jumping for joy with, I don't even know, I think there was like 10 seconds left in the game. And you guys were already, stuck in spot in the defensive zone, and you guys were jumping with excitement. Take us through that. What was going through your brain, the emotions, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's just the last couple seconds I was on the ice, and I was like, God, I don't want to get off the ice. I'm not going to change. So I'm just going to keep wearing this shift out until the very end. There's like a minute 10. And I was like, I'm just staying out here. I want to celebrate this. And just me and Carlson, we were just jumping up and we felt like little schoolgirls. And then we finally got to celebrate. It was hilarious. We got a lot of fun out of it. A lot of funny moments too. I think there's a picture of Phil. Like, we got the overhead view, and it's Phil. And he's got obviously Phil's doesn't have all his hair. And guys are quickly sending in wow, Phil, they did you so dirty here. So right away, we had some jokes right from that. Just so much excitement behind it. It's still now, it's hard to put into words the moment you feel it. It's so much hugging, so much I loves you on the ice, so much we fucking did it. I remember hugging Kelly and McCrimmon and just be like, fuck, thank you so much for trading for me. This is unbelievable. And stuff like that makes you look back in the past and realize what's gotten you there and how it's happened. It's cool to think we had the heartbreak of missing playoffs and then followed by the joy of winning it all. Comes at you full circle, and this is the most excited I've ever been for camp to open up and get the season rolling. Just coming off the excitement, the partying was unbelievable. It was about 2.5 weeks straight of falling asleep, hugging my toilet, and waking up next to it. It's usually what happens when you go on a bender like that. It was just, it turned into a little bit of a betting almost. It was clubs wanted us in the cup there. So everyone was just, we'll throw this at you. We'll throw that at you. You guys get this. You guys get that. And we kind of just went with it every day. Every day we would have drinks at one of the guys' pool, and then we, figure out where we're going to go for dinner, and then the club, and it was over and over and over. We met countless DJs. We met countless celebrities. Yeah, we had some of the best dinners I've ever had in my life on the Strip, and you saw it, the people of Vegas really opened up to us, besides the Las Vegas Aces, win the championship. I think we're the second team now to bring a championship to the city of Las Vegas, and I don't even know how long. So for us, that was really exciting, and we knew the city was behind us. I'd say the best part of the partying was probably the parade. Yeah, that was epic. The only time Las Vegas Boulevard's ever been closed is because of COVID, and that was for one day. Yeah. So it's pretty special to have that street closed off, and that city appreciate us. It was funny though, when we came down a certain street, and we were able to see the highway, the 215, and there's just cars piled up for miles honking. We're like, shit, they probably hate us right now for this if we're not going to the party. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The best part of it was the parade. William Karlsson had himself a night there with his speech, with him calling. I I got a shirt made of his speech. I'm going to wear it to the rink tomorrow. It got delivered today.
Yes.
We better see that all over social media tomorrow.
That's going to be a good one. I know he'll post about it for sure.
He still won't watch it. Like he still doesn't fully know what he said in his speech because he's like, I don't know, like I'm drunk. I don't want to listen to myself drunk. Mm-hmm. And then, awesome. There was so much fun for it. And then, all the partying you get to do with the boys here, and then you have your friends from back home, and you get your cup day too, which is unbelievable. Still going through the pictures of that. So
yeah,
the memories never stop on this. The fun never stops, and you get that excitement going to the next year too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take us into a bit of playing in Vegas. Like you said, you guys are the second team to bring a championship to Vegas. Obviously, Vegas is not known for its sports. It's professional teams. So that's relatively new to the city of Vegas. Vegas was the parties, the clubs. You go there for, the casinos, all the bigger shows, experience that way. How have you guys found the support has been throughout the entire city? Not just during the parade, but since you guys have moved there as a team or a franchise?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I've been here since the start with the organization, and I wasn't here the first 3 years of the team's inaugural seasons, but just talking to guys that I knew, like Riley Smith and Carly, they would give me a sense that the city was fully backed behind them. Very tragic what happened with the October 1 shooting, and I think that allowed the team to become invested in the city, and the city invest themselves back into the team and believe in them that this was the right thing that they needed to come through and get through that tragic moment. And it gave the city hope, because you go through that tragedy and then you have your team come through and they play so well and they make it to the Stanley Cup finals, and you're, people that didn't know what hockey were, all of a sudden you're fully invested because your team is one of the top dogs. And now to get to this point, you see the love that you get from the city. And, we had over 500,000 people at our cup parade. That just doesn't happen by people going down the wrong street and just showing up and partying. They all sat outside in the baking sun and the heat, watching all of us get drunk and just throw stuff at them. So it was a lot of fun.
So Keegs, you mentioned part of what felt so special last year was the fact you missed the playoffs the year before. And I'm curious, what was the secret sauce last year with the Vegas Golden Knights to go from a team that just missed to an absolute buzzsaw in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, I wouldn't call us an absolute buzzsaw because we had some tough series for sure.
Those games, man, were awfully
yeah, they were.
It was weird. You know what? We've talked a lot about that year. I think we led the most missed games in the league by a good margin. We had so many injuries. Stones with his back, Jack with his surgery, guys in another lineup here and there. COVID rules were still in effect there, so that caused some trouble at times as well. So we lost a lot of man games. We came down to the end of, we lost 3 games in a row in a shootout that cost us the 2 points. Stuff like that. And you look at Florida, all they had to do was creep into the playoffs and look there, and they make it to the finals. So that's all you got to do is get into the dance. That's the main part. And, this next year we were relatively healthy. We didn't have many setbacks as injuries. We had guys who were fully rested from the year before that had surgeries. I had surgery on my hip. Guys had to get, tweaks readjusted. And we came back hungry, and we got off to a really good start with a new coaching staff. Again, all the credit to Pete DeBoer and his staff. I loved playing for Pete. He was a great coach. He gave me my first start in the NHL, and I always respect him for that. I think he's a tremendous coach. And again, we played him against in Dallas, and that wasn't an easy matchup either. It might have looked easy going up 3-0, but, they're a hardworking team. I know Pete's system. They were going to find a way to claw back, and they made it to 6 games. And even the Edmonton series, that was one of the toughest ones. Looking back, that was definitely our toughest series. McDavid, Draisaitl, those are just 2 beasts that you could have a game plan all you want for them, but then, they can throw a wrinkle at you. I mean, their power play was clicking, I think, at 50%. We had certain game plans we wanted to throw at them, and first power play, boom, they scored, and I'm like, okay, we're back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So it's just playoffs. You never know what can happen, but the main thing is just you got to get into it.
It really is a different beast, isn't it?
For sure.
the
Another question I had about that. Yeah, I got one more here on the playoff run here. So me and Rise were talking beforehand, and he mentioned how, hockey started for you at 8A1 with Krenz' old man cutting you, right?
10.
It had
10A1. 10A1, he cut me.
So it hasn't always been the easy journey, Even you really proved yourself in the minors, got into the NHL, proved yourself there. And then throughout that playoff race last year, you really became a national name in Canada. Elliot Friedman, Jeff Merrick were talking about you almost every day, it seemed. The Spin Chicklets boys going out there calling you the best fourth line player in the league. I know you're a humble guy, but what was that like to finally get some recognition in your career for the work you've put in and see that respected?
It's nice getting the respect throughout the league because that's what you want to earn is the respect of everyone. You look at the guys that have gone on to make great careers for themselves and everyone's that's played against them respects them, for me, the reward for myself is winning the Stanley Cup. It's nice to hear good things, from your peers, from people that play in the game, the people that watch the game and know the game, because it makes you, feel confident about yourself. Mm-hmm. But the reward at the end of that, out of that journey is, the Stanley Cup. And, there's no greater respect having your name than on the Stanley Cup, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I absolutely love it. So, I mean, obviously the Stanley Cup is the greatest achievement in hockey. But you've had quite some success growing up. Obviously, in AAA, you guys won the championship. And even when you played for Seattle, you guys knocked off the top-tier Regina Pats when they were a powerhouse that year with big names like Sammy Steele, Brooks, all those guys. They were pretty loaded, and you guys came in there, you, Barzell. I don't know if anybody's heard of Barzell. He's kind of a big deal too. But you guys came in there, and you guys really pulled off what most would call a pretty crazy upset in the WHL playoffs. So, take us through that. Take us through a little bit of your WHL experience. At what point in your WHL experience did that drive to really push to that next level come from?
I think just after the failure of my first year, I was always a high scoring kid growing up in Manitoba. I wouldn't say we're a watered down league, but we have some good talent, but it doesn't stack up to every province. And then when you get in a age group of 5 years, that's when it becomes tougher. So I think the failure of my first year, just not having it up to the standard that I wanted it to be, it fueled me to go into my second year and prove something. And then, getting the confidence of getting drafted helped me into my third year. And, I credit all my success, but maybe my third year in juniors because we had a really good squad. We ran through playoffs. We swept the first 3 rounds. We made it to Brandon, and we felt really good going to that series. And ultimately, we lost the first 3-2 overtime off some tough bounces, some poor play, and we lost that series. And just the heartbreak of being that close and losing, it fueled me for the next year. It fueled a lot of us. And we went in there and, we went down in that series, I think, 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. No, 2-1. 2-1 in that series. And we looked at each other like, we're not doing this again. We're not losing again. This isn't happening. And we went on to win 3 in a row straight. And you ask any player, they get better in the playoffs. That's when you find out what kind of player you can be. The longer you go in the season, the more games you play, the bigger the stakes the games are. That's where the true player in you rises. And I've always accustomed my credit and my success in all my hockey careers in making playoffs and going far. I went to the Calder Cup finals against the Charlotte Checkers my second year in the American League. And then that got me ready for, eventually my next step was the next year I played my couple of first games in the NHL. And after that, last year, that was my first full year in the NHL, and just look where I am now. And it all comes back just to playoff hockey. I think it makes everyone a better player.
No, for sure, for sure. You mentioned that, growing up in a smaller market in Manitoba here. And this is a question I have for most athletes. So obviously me and Carson played with you growing up in that same market. And I very specifically remember the day when I realized that it was a small market. We were small fish in a big hockey pond, and I was never going to make a pro career out of myself, was when I went to Everett. As someone that's made it and is now an established NHL player, did you ever have a moment where it clicked for you, a season, a game, where you told yourself, I am going to be a pro hockey player, I am going to make the NHL?
I don't know. You know what? I think like all kids just coming from, maybe where we were, we just wanted to play, go the first we can, have the most fun with it. We all have that ambition of making the NHL, winning the Stanley Cup. That's what we always tell ourselves, these kids growing up.
Yep.
I don't think you know until you get in the moment. So going into my third year in the American League, I was like, this is my last year of my entry level. I got to start getting games now. I don't know what's going to happen. And I didn't play my first game in the NHL until maybe the second half of the season. And leading up to that, I was like, oh boy, is it going to come? I feel like I'm ready, but I don't know if I'm ready. You get in that first game, and even your first game, you don't really know if you're really ready to be a full-time guy. I think for me, when it clicked in that I could be a full-time guy was probably after my first full season. That's when I realized, okay, I've kind of gotten the hang of this a bit, but maybe there's more that I need to learn. And I think you pick up more every year you play. And going to my fourth year, I'd like to say that I know what everything takes of me to be at my best, but I think every player's, you learn something new every year. You look at Pittsburgh Penguins, they have, some of the best players in the world. And you would think, those guys should never miss playoffs because they know what to bring every year. And, sometimes it's not going to work out for you every year, and sometimes it's not going to work for you every game. So I think you constantly have to adapt. And I think the beauty of winning it is what it takes, but then the journey of the season is you got to be ready for anything, because you might think you're ready, but you might, someone might throw a curveball at you.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that was great.
Couldn't agree more. Obviously, like you said, last year was your first full season in the NHL. You obviously got to play, I think, they play every team, right? At least once? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to play everybody around the league. Obviously playing and spectating are very much different experiences when talking about the NHL and hockey in general. Who would you say, doesn't have to be Connor McDavid, who would Keegan Kolesar say is the absolute most difficult player to play against? Like who, when you check the calendar on the schedule and you see the team you're playing, you go,
oh, it's tough because every team's got someone. That's why it's the best league in the world. I could, you rifle off my division. You got Cam Fowler, Troy Terry on Anaheim right there. You got Anze Kopitar, Drew Doughty on LA. Matty Beniers on Seattle. He's just coming off his first year, and he's still quite a player. He's going to be a good player. Quinn Hughes is tough to forecheck because he's so slippery. Every team's got him. I'd say, Draisaitl McDavid is that 1-2 punch that it's so hard. Cale Makar, McKinnon. Yeah. Those are just some names right off the bat. And that's what makes it fun, though. And that's why I like being under Bruce's system, too, because I get to play against those guys. Bruce has this system of my fourth line is going to play against their top line. You're going to shut them down, not by just playing defense, but you're just going to outplay them. You're going to use our strengths. So our strength is we hold on to pucks in the offensive zone. We make them play a 200-foot game. That's how we establish our game. And if we're taking those crucial minutes away from their top guys, our top guys are going to be playing against their bottom guys, and we're hoping that they can get the job done. And that's what works so well for us. And that's what I love, because I get to play against all these guys, and it just constantly makes you better and better.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So my next question in regards to you as an individual player is, why the number 55?
I'm just a pigeon. That's the number they gave me when I got it.
You got to embrace the double nickels, man.
Yeah, unless you're first round, you ain't getting the number you want.
You rock with pride, man. I love it. It's what, you wear it well. You wear it well.
Yeah. Me and Scheif both rocking it. Nickels.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, we like your battle a little more, I think. Anyways, one thing here, you talk about kind of you've played that full year now. You understand the game a bit better. It's funny because talking with Ribes over the last couple of years, at this time of year, he'd always be like, watch, Keegan's going to do this year. And then you went out and did it. You took those steps. You've now established yourself. What's next for Keegan Kolesar's game?
For my game, obviously I'd like to have some more offense in my game. I think every year you need to build layers to that. So you work on it in the summer, you work on it during training camp, and throughout the season you sprinkle it in here and there whenever you can when you have practice. I've never been one to set goals for myself personally. I'm not going to come here and say, oh, I want 30 more points, 40 more points. I want to score 20 goals. I think anyone can want that. I'd love to lead the league in scoring. For me, I want to be a plus player again. It's a pretty rewarding feeling at the end of the year when you can just say, you know what, I did all the right things where I was able to be on the ice for more goals against. I didn't cost my team. Stuff like that I take pride in. Again, winning was so much goddamn fun that, I could go the entire season without a goal personally. And if I was able to help my team win a Stanley Cup again, I would take that any day.
I love that.
Another question here. I was at the game in Winnipeg. You made a statement in the first period. You had the scrap. You had the goal with the celebration. Is there some extra juice coming back and playing home and impacting a game like that so quickly?
It's funny because you know what? I'm not gonna say it wasn't my mindset, but there's a little bit more juice to it because Laus went after Stoney off the bat there and kind of leaning on him a bit when he was down. I didn't like it, and Stevie kind of perfectly set me up there with like the little pick where he pushed him into me, Laus did a reverse, and he didn't look up in time, and I let up a bit too because I was like, I don't want to hit him when he's like very out of position, but I'm going to make him feel it. Respect him enough that if anyone asked me, I was going to drop him immediately. And I had a lot of fun too, just going to the paint as hard as I can. Jackie puts a puck on net. I'll clean that up and celebrate right in some Frosted Tips face.
That was so good. Oh,
I was just a few rows above that guy, and it was hilarious, man. Everything about that moment was so good.
I feel bad because the guy probably thinks I was at him, but it was actually about Adam Jones right behind him.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely
there's a picture of Adam Jones like kind of hiding behind him, like laughing, but it's the guy just like standing up. And I was like, all right. I was hoping I would find that guy somewhere in Winnipeg at some point.
That's so good. I mean, obviously a couple iconic body checks if we're gonna talk about any of them. A lot of people are saying it was the pivotal point to the final series. I mean, obviously you've heard it all. The Matthew Tkachuk hit. Obviously, what seemed to be a harmless, clean, good nose, hard hockey body check in the playoffs ends up turning into, him being out for, a decent amount of time and, not really being able to be himself. Would you consider that to being one of the X factors of, the pivotal point in that series? Not to say you guys were ever trailing or at the deficit, but was that definitely a tone setter or a momentum shift?
Yeah, I think it's a momentum shift. It's weird talking about myself in this regard because I don't want to say I was the reason, but when you see that team play, that team's heart is Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
You saw what he did to will them into playoffs. You saw what he did to get them through that first round. And, coming off that big of a first round, I think they had the momentum. They had the confidence. You saw them, clean up in the third round too. Mm-hmm. So you knew they were feeling it. For me, it was just like what their bottom guys would do. They're going to go after their top guys. All the playoffs, you saw, Stone take it, Eichel take it, Petro take it. This was our chance, give it to their top guys. And, I think it's a deflating thing when you see your leader, your heart of your team, not only not be on the ice with you, but when he's on the ice with you, he's giving it all and it's not going that far for him because of the injury. I wish him all the best with a speedy recovery after, of course.
Yeah,
but at the moment, it was exactly what we needed because we needed a little bit of a spark at the time in the game. And that gave us the momentum to turn this over because we knew right away he wasn't himself. And then when we heard that he wasn't going to be in after that, we were like, okay, this is where we take advantage because they're missing 100-point guy, the heart of their team, a leader. That's not something you can easily replace.
For sure. No, that makes a ton of sense. Definitely was impactful. We've kept you pretty good. We got a couple more things for you. You mentioned he was a class kind of a dressing room clown. You got any good Phil stories for us, man?
Everybody's got a very good Phil story.
There's so many. Like, this guy's unbelievable. I don't want to go because I know it's going to somehow get back to Phil because Marchie just scours the internet for anything on Phil. He's just so funny. He's like the most Canadian American I've ever seen. Like, I'll ask him, like, oh, Phil, what'd you get for dinner? He goes, or I was like, hey, Phil, how was dinner last night? He goes, it wasn't the best, eh? It was just okay. Like, it was all right. And then we just like talk about stupid stuff all the time with Phil. He's got stories for days. The best one is game 5. We're flying back from game 4, back to Vegas. And he was like, if you guys make me get on this plane and fly back for game 6, I'll fucking kill you all. So funny. And he goes, hey, you think I'm lying, guys? I'll kill you all if I have to get back on this plane, eh? It's so funny. And like, there was one, I forget what it was. It was like, he got a call that they were screaming in his backyard and he had to sprint home from the rink. He goes, guys, the police are at my house. Someone was fucking screaming in the back of my yard. I got to go home. Turns out it was just his daughter. They were having swim class with a bunch of kids. The kids were just like screaming because they were having fun. But he's like freaking out. He's like, guys, I don't know what to do, eh? Like, I got to go, eh?
Oh my God, I absolutely love it. Oh man.
We love Phil, man.
Everybody
love Phil. Love Phil so much.
Is there anybody else in the dressing room that challenges him for his humor, or is he takes the cake by far?
He takes the cake by far, but we got a lot of shit disturbers like me, Stevenson, Eichel, Stones, Marchessault. Like, we all just love stirring the pot and having fun. We got a really relaxed locker room. Like, we just love to joke every day. You know, we're not bullies, but we definitely target each other. And like, we always chirp each other, but we all laugh about it at the end of the day. So I forget who, it might've been Revo that said it. Like, if you can't take a joke, you're a joke. So we all have fun with it and never take it to heart.
I absolutely love it.
Speaking of Revo, I remember when me and you played Thrash together, he'd come out and skate and really help you out. Then you guys ended up in Vegas together. Has he kind of had like a bit of a mentor type relationship with you kind of growing up?
I didn't know Revo too well until I got here. I did see him in the summer. We'd skate together or work out. And then after our first year, we became really close. It wasn't more of a mentorship because if it was a mentorship, because then he'd be giving me the secrets and he knew and I knew that, you know, we're both I'm eventually going to have to take his job.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a tough scenario because we were best friends and we still are very close. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a job and you don't want to lose your job. And I felt bad that, you know, I'm the next guy to come in and take his job. So there was kind of an awkwardness there. I remember my first year, we were in game 6 against Montreal and it was do or die. And I went in instead of him. He sat the night and I felt awkward about it. I felt dirty about it because I'm just like, well, you know, he's the veteran. I feel bad almost, but it wasn't my choice. It was the coach's choice. And when we were like having our year-end party, I asked him like, hey man, like, I hope we're okay. Like, I want you to know I felt dirty about what happened. And he goes, don't be mad. Like, I had to do it to get someone out. It's nothing you did. You played good. You know, y'all played me. I would have liked to have been in that game to have a moment because I'm the veteran, but at the end of the day, it's not my choice. And I appreciate you coming to say something to me because I didn't want to put you in an awkward spot and you know, vice versa. So it was more so once we stopped playing together, that's when, you know, we would talk more and kind of just, I'd ask him some things. He'd rifle them off to me. And you know what, we still do it too. We always stay in touch. I text him from every time to time and he's liking it in Toronto so far. Said the squad's looking really good. Should be an exciting game against Toronto for sure this year.
Oh yeah, I
looking
imagine.
forward to
you
it.
guys will hash it out pretty good.
Maybe he didn't give you the secrets because he was getting ready in case he needed to go you, man. I don't know.
Oh, that would be a crazy one. So you talked about how close everybody becomes, when you spend a lot of time, pretty much every day with these guys. Obviously, the Vegas locker room, super tight-knit group, I've chatted with you quite a bit about that. And Riley Smith being the first misfit to depart this year after winning the Cup, coming back for the charity baseball game that you guys do, which was really awesome of him to do. How big of a impact would he have on the leadership group, all that kind of stuff? Like talk to us a little bit how big of a hole Riley Smith is going to be to fill.
It's hard. It's someone that's been here since day one. He is so heavily invested in the community. I think he was our humanitarian of the year last year. Goes to show you that, he fully diverts himself in the community. His softball game is one of the highlights of my summer every year. I hope he keeps doing it. If not here, then maybe he does it in Pittsburgh. I'll go there and we'll play against the Steelers.
That'd be cool. Holy smokes.
He's just great at making sure that we're all doing something as a team. So whether it's a football Sunday, hey guys, let's go to this bar and just have some wings and watch it during the day, be together as a team. On the road, he's hosted so many team dinners where we all go and just have our collective fun as a group. He does everything we can to make sure that, we stay as a tight-knit group. It's a huge hole to fill. It sucks to see someone like him who has earned so much respect in this community, who finally got a Stanley Cup, after the first year heartbreak to 5 years later. I'm so honored that I could share that moment with him. He's one of my best friends. I talk to him all the time. I ask him about, Pittsburgh all the time and how he's liking it. He's very happy there right now. Obviously, he'd like to stay here because the team we had, if you can keep the Stanley Cup team for back-to-back years, then you got a really good chance, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there comes the business side of it, and there needed to be moves that were made. Unfortunately, we lost him. And then, on the flip side, you look at, okay, someone else gets to come down the pipeline now, and they get the opportunity. And, usually when you win, there's got to be some big upside, and we only lost one player. Mm-hmm. Sucks that it, had to be such a great person on our team and a huge part of our locker room. But then, it gives out an opportunity for someone else to stand up. Like, Jack gets a chance to be a leader when, he's had a C before, and maybe people thought that he wasn't the best of captains or one of the best leaders. And you see him lead us to a Stanley Cup this last year. And now maybe people get to see more of a side of him with maybe a letter on his chest and be like, okay, maybe then there is a different narrative. Maybe it was just some bad years in Buffalo, and maybe we all got our heads wrapped around this notion a little bit too soon.
I love it.
Hey, that is a great answer, Keegs. You've been more than generous with your time. I'd like to thank you for taking the time. This was great.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Great insight. And keep tuning in. I heard you tuned in for the trade deadline stream. That was awesome.
I did. We were listening to it. We liked it.
That's what I like to hear. We're hoping to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, no, appreciate you.
I like to hear what you got brewing on the Jets.
A lot of frustration with that team, man.
Oh, I know. I've heard some very nasty things on here, but I laugh at it.
Yeah, that's valid. I appreciate it, Keegs, man. Believe me, we'll talk soon. And very good luck the rest of the year. We're very, very excited to watch you, man. And we wish you nothing but the best.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
This has been a Top Lyne Media production.